Hi, welcome to today's video. I've addressed this subject in many Twitter threads and I've always gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of questions, and so today what I'm attempting is a little story time about stopping alcohol and what it did to me, what it does to me, and my continued journey with sobriety. I have a disclaimer. This is not a solution, not an advice, not a professional advice. And in watching this video, you're only getting my personal story. And if you need help, there's professionals just for that. There's communities just for that, like the 12 steps, the AA, the Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you need help, those resources are here to help you get help. I also want to preface this by saying that this is not any judgment around alcohol. It's just how I deal with this, how I dealt with this, and how I'll try to deal with drinking too much, not being able to stop. And in opening up, I'm not judging people, and I'm asking you not to judge me. We're all different. We all have different stories. We all have different genetics. Alcoholism is a genetic condition. I'm not saying I'm an alcoholic. I'm just simply sharing. All right. I have a little bit of a disclaimer. Before making any changes to your conception of alcohol, you should really see a professional. If you stopped abruptly, you can have withdrawal, which can be even worse for your mental health and your physical health. It can include sweating, nausea, shaking, anxiety. So if you need help, get help. And sometimes you might not know that you need help. Get help. Quitting alcohol is something that can require a lifestyle change. Alcohol is a social conception. It's something that you do with others. So sometimes we think of quitting alcohol, but it kind of means that you're gonna have to adapt and help your lifestyle and your social community adapt with you, and that's not always easy. So if you definitely need tips or if you have questions, I'm here for that. I have a lot of tips to give. So in June 2018, I stopped alcohol. That was 5 years ago. Not everyone who drinks alcohol needs to stop altogether. It's not an all or nothing thing. You can try, experiment, and see what happens. I personally stopped completely, and then I tried again, and then I found my way. But I'm not an example. I'm just sharing my story. Stopping alcohol, whether you consume less or you stop altogether, has a lot of physical and psychological benefits, such as improved sleep, improved mental health, reduced risk of getting the disease that are directly connected with alcohol consumption. It's going to unload your liver, who is going to have to process less harmful toxins and kind of get a bit of a rest. So this is also something that you can consider if you're trying and it's not been easy. Holding on to the benefits is one of the tactics. But lastly, be compassionate towards yourself. No matter where you are on your journey, the judging doesn't help. Be compassionate. You are here, and there are many, many different roots and sources and causes to drinking what you could consider too much. Again, that depends on you, depends on anyone. And if you're watching this because someone else around you is drinking what you consider too much, be compassionate towards them. Be compassionate. Judgment is never helping. All right, let me tell you my story. So I started drinking very early on, and drinking a little bit too much very early on. I actually have the ability to drink a lot, and it doesn't mean I hold it. It's just that I go down any glass very quickly. It's something that I don't really know the root cause of. It might be my anxiety in social surroundings. I am very anxious because I'm not very comfortable in a lot of areas that require social discussions and social abilities. I don't really have them. When I'm in a lot of places that have a lot of sound, a lot of music, a lot of people, and more than one conversation that I can hear with my ears, it's very uncomfortable, distressing, and alcohol was one of the options that helped dull my senses. So it really, really helped, actually. It was a big help. But then it became a problem onto its own. So now I can avoid both and be healthy and good in my head and having good times with friends in other surroundings. I also drank a lot because I was not doing well, and it might have looked like I was socializing and having fun, but I was not really. The scope of why I was not doing well and drinking heavily as soon as I was 14, 15 is not really going to be addressed here. I don't really feel like talking about this, but let's just say that I was in a very destructive environment, and having agency over how I felt and how tempered with I was helped. So to be very frank, the act of destroying myself through alcohol, it helped because I felt in control, which was better than being harmed by others and having no escape route. So alcohol was an escape route. I knew and I was fully aware that I was harming myself that way, and it helped until it didn't, because it was never really helped. It just felt different, but it wasn't help. I was digging my own grave, to be honest. So I tried to stop for years and I couldn't, and I was staying within the lifestyle that I had, the friends that I had, the nightlife that I had, and obviously it was impossible to stop. So tequila shots later, I would find myself going home feeling different and waking up feeling worse than the day before. And that's really the imagery that I had. We have a game in France called Le Jeu de Loi, and it's all about starting from 0 and going to 30 or 31 or something, and you just advance with each step. You don't really regress, which is different from Monopoly, where you're always, on the same loop. When I woke up after a night of drinking, I found myself back at 0. I had lost, because my mental health, the voices in my head, the inner judgment, the criticism, the feeling lost, feeling stuck, feeling trapped, it all came back. Whereas if I stopped drinking for a few days, it felt like I was advancing by a few steps, and it felt better every time. So when I finally stopped, and I stopped cold turkey, and I didn't have any help and I didn't have any community, I was abroad in Turkey, and I was young too. I was 25. I didn't know that I could find an English-speaking or French-speaking community where I could get help. Online was not even something that I considered. I'm including resources at the end of this video with online communities in case you're also not able to find a physical community or you don't want to, which is totally understandable. So I stopped cold turkey on my own, and I did something which is something that I previously had done when I stopped smoking, which was competition with myself. And I said, it doesn't mean I'm stopping, I'm just curious to see how long I can stop and how many days in a row I can stop. And that really helped, because after a while, when I stopped smoking, I couldn't smoke anymore. I was disgusted. You would try, and it was just horrible. So alcohol was like that there was a lot of temptation at first, and then at some point it just became disgusting, and then temptation came back, and then at some point I was able mentally to be like, no, like I don't want to go back to zero. I don't want to go back to that. I don't even want to be in that situation, because I witnessed that I can stop myself at 0 glass. I can't stop myself after 1 glass. The minute I have 1 glass, I'll have many glasses, and that's a problem. So I had to go cold turkey, and you might not have to, and you might not need to, but I knew that I was at a point where having 1 glass meant having many, many glasses. And I tried to just have one, and it was impossible. So the alcohol was having an effect on me, and I found delight in that, but not a good, kind, compassionate delight. So that's how I did it. I stopped, and then I had to make changes to my lifestyle. I had to make changes to how I connected with my friends and how friendship was influencing my life. And it wasn't easy. It still isn't easy, but for a good 4 years, I really didn't drink anything. And I would hang out with friends or new friends, because in the meantime, I also moved to Paris. And people got used to me not drinking. And that was interesting, because at first people assume that you drink with them. And some people are also angry if you don't drink with them, because then they feel judged, and you really have to find that fine balance of, one, do I tell them I'm not drinking, or do I just, order my own drink? And at some point they're going to realize, and then you find a way to not abide in peer pressure, but also stand your ground, but also not be so disciplined that it feels like you're judging them, because they might feel judged, because we kind of have an understanding that drinking is not that healthy. So that's how it is. That's how it was, and that's how it is. And now I'm able to be with friends and not have to discuss this and just say no and drink. Or you find other things to deal with the situation. So for example, I got kind of tired of explaining that I'm not drinking, because suddenly you become kind of an object of interest. Like, people are like, oh my God, you're not drinking? Why? And then suddenly it's like you're an alcoholic in their head, or you're the judgmental thing that is not drinking and looking at you drinking, which is not that. Like, I'm not that. I'm just someone who might have a problem with alcohol, who doesn't want to be stereotyped into that thing, because I'm not just that, I'm many other things, and I don't want anyone to be ever stereotyped into that. And it's also just always the same conversations that happen with people. It's always the same thing, and after years you're a little bit tired. So one of the things is just like, I'm not drinking tonight, or I'm not drinking, that's it. Or just not mentioning it, having your drink, and that drink can be anything. Entertain the idea of camouflaging, just like I had a lot of 0% beer, because I love beer. I really love beer. But you can have beer without alcohol. So that's what I did. So you're with friends and you have that glass, like ring little glass bottle, and it looks like you're having beer, but you're not. I mean, you are, but it's not alcoholized. And that's one of the ways that I did, because at first I was restricting myself. Yeah, and it was not fun. And also when you're with friends, you want to have fun. Like, you want to not be in that energy frequency of restriction. Like, no, I'm not drinking. No, you actually would be more enticed to drink if you are restricting yourself and controlling yourself. Whereas if you actually look at the menu and you try to find something that is exciting and something that you really like, that's going to be great, because then you can have that moment, because you don't want to be in the frequency of, I'm punishing myself, I'm restricting myself. You actually want to be in that fun time, social time, connecting time. So for example, when I was mentioning the camouflaging and the beer, I love beer, so that was fun. It was fun to have that 0% beer. I was trying all of the 0% beer, finding the best one. There's a lot of really bad ones, and then at some point I was done with that, and I really love Schweppes Indian tonic. Yeah, and I loved it. So I was actually looking forward to those moments where I was going to connect with friends and not restricting myself, because I was actually having my little delight, whether it was something that people can be like, what, you drink tonic on its own? And I would be like, yeah, I actually really love it. And then later on, it could be a virgin drink, a virgin cocktail, mocktail. It could be anything, as long as you're having fun. So that's one of the tips. Don't be in that punishment thing. Be in that, okay, let's find another route. But yeah, it might mean that you don't go out. In the times that I've been out, I've actually had so much fun being with my friends when they're a little bit drunk and I'm sober. Like, it's just fun to go dancing. You don't have to drink vodka on vodka on vodka. Like, it's fun to go out and see your friends having fun and have fun with them and just dance. Of course, you're not going to last until 4 or 5 a.m. like them. You might go out and leave the house and leave the party and live the concert or the rave at 1, 2 a.m. But at least you went out and you had fun. One other thing that I also did is when we do shots, there's a thing, like if you don't do shots with people, it's different. That's a social construct, that social thing is kind of broken by your choice of not drinking. So I would always go to the bartender and say like, okay, I'm not gonna have a shot, but can you still give me a little glass and put anything in it, like put a little bit of sparkling water, and then I would have the shot with people. So that's a thing that I did a lot. When we do cheers, there's all that construct that if you have water in your glass, you're not supposed to do cheers with people because it brings bad luck. I don't know, that's how it is in Europe. It's not true, one. I mean, what? Is it? I don't know. I'm still doing cheers with everyone all the time. Without that, I'm sorry, I'm not drinking with you guys. Like, I'm here with my sparkling water or Coke or whatever, and I'm cheering with everyone because I want to be a part of the thing. And I don't want anyone to be removed from the dance that we're used to. So there's no judging, but there's also a partaking in the fun. So that's also something that I did. So that's back for a big part of those 5 years where I wasn't drinking. I didn't want to drink. I was really quite disgusted by the thing, but also just like my body, like smelling wine that I used to love, it just disgusted me. Smelling whiskey still disgusts me, and whiskey is something that I drank. Beer, everything just disgusted me. And then I started dating my partner, my current partner, and he would drink a glass of red wine from time to time, or a beer. And I felt different about the glass and the smell and everything. And so sometimes I would ask for a little sip just to see if, I was able to withstand it and if it was a little pleasure, because drinking can be pleasurable. You know that. And so I would, and he was drinking good, really good red wine, and I actually enjoyed it. So slowly it became from a few sips to having my own glass. And at that time, and that was last year, I was able to just have one glass, and that was great. I was like, oh my God, I can do this. Like, I can be in the middle ground. I can have one glass. And my body was enjoying it. My taste buds were enjoying it. And I really enjoyed having that little lull of, it's not tipsiness, but it's just like a little bit freeing. And even as a, an energy conscious person, as a psychic and Reiki healer, I could feel that there were a few blocks that were actually moving along, and a few things were happening that were actually benefiting my energy body when I was having a little bit of red wine. And that was great. But then I started to witness that I was just having one glass kind of every day. And then I started to witness that my mental health was not doing so well. And whether it was connected or not, I started to witness I'm getting more familiar with it, and it's becoming a thing. And I don't want it to become a thing. So I had to battle the temptation again from a point where I want it. I'm pulled towards it, but it's not good anymore. So the whole sobriety journey started again. It was more complicated this time. if I'm talking about it now, it's because it's been a few months that I've been able to really truly say no again, to find my grounding, to find that I'm not, and I might never be comfortable with drinking, even though I kind of want it. Like I would love to have one glass of red wine on the weekend. But the truth is that the day after, I feel it. I'm back at zero again. I'm back in fields where I feel just a lot of mean voices are back and speaking at me, and I really don't want to deal with that. So every time the temptation comes, I'm telling that to myself. I'm like, but tomorrow that, and it's not worth it. Moreover, I have pain in my liver. I've been healing it. I've been dealing with it. I've been changing my nutrition. And right now my liver says no to alcohol. It said no to wine. I've never went back on hard liquor, by the way, last year. It was just wine and beer. But my liver started saying no to red wine. So I was like, okay, well, that's how it is. Like my health, my physical health, my mental health is my priority. It's just like the paramount thing in my life. If I don't have that, there's nothing else. This is the foundation of me. So when it said no to red wine and I could feel the pain in my liver on my right side for like 2 days, I was like, yeah, no, just no. And I witnessed that beer was kind of okay. So, okay, maybe I could share a beer with my partner from time to time. And then beer started doing that too. And it's not necessarily that my liver is doing worse. It's just that it just doesn't work with me, and it doesn't work with me at this time. It might change later on. Maybe I'll do another video in 5 years. But this is my journey. This is my journey in being compassionate with myself, in prioritizing my health, and witnessing that I have a shadow in me that kind of wants to self-harm via alcohol. And I'm gonna choose to say no. I'm conscious it's here. I'm aware it's here. I'm aware it's here sometimes, not all the times. And I'm choosing not to fulfill its craving, its desire. And that's the difficult part, right? To talk about that. That's difficult to be like, to recognize that this is here. But it's here, and it might be explained by my past. It might be explained by my feelings of inadequacy. It might be explained by astrology, like Saturn is square my sun. It might be explained by my trauma. It might be explained by my neurodivergence. So who knows? That's what's there. That's what I'm dealing with. That's how my sobriety journey is. I hope that it kind of helped, and if you want tips, please comment. I'm, again, not an authority. This is not an opinion. This is just my personal story. And this also goes to show that the compassionate self really needs to be there, because stopping alcohol is something that you do every day, and that you do day after day. It's not like 29th of June 2018 I stopped alcohol. It's every day. It's like today is the 14th of April. Tomorrow is going to be the 15th. Yesterday was the 13th. Like every day I choose, and it's not easy. It doesn't really get easier. As I showed you, like there was that chunk where it was super easy to say no, and then it restarted, and now I'm like dealing with how difficult it is to stop again. And it might get easier in a few months. It might get more difficult. Who knows? Alcoholism is a reflection of genetics. It's a reflection of the life that you have around you, of the stress at work, the stress in your relationships, in the stress of our society. It's a reflection of the influences that we have around us. Like there's that common trope of, if a woman in a TV show is having a difficult time, the first thing she does And she doesn't even take a breath. It's just, she just goes to the fridge and opens white wine. And so that whole consumerism and industry has started, and now it's a staple. But does it need to be? I mean, we have to review all of the influences that are around us, but also be compassionate. So that's that fine line, that paradoxical line, where it's like, hey and hey. We live in a society where alcohol is seen as the answer, and I really want all of us to understand that there are so many more answers, and this is not the ultimate, most optimal answer. A lot of people die from alcoholism, from alcohol-related disease. So if you do need help, please get help. You don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of different resources in the description box. There's Smart Recovery, there's Alcoholics Anonymous, there's the 12 steps, that is Alcoholics Anonymous. There's a lot of online resources. You've got this. If that's what you want to do, you've got this. Okay, I believe in you. I believe in myself. And all of this comment section is me holding space for you. So feel free to comment, to tell me your story. Feel free to ask questions. And I'm going to be here answering every comment with kindness and compassion. And I want all of you, if you read comments, to be here with kindness and compassion too. We've got this. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a like, subscribe, send it to your loved ones, share it on your social media, and see you soon.